let you know that this is being recorded for instructional purposes. So welcome. My name is Chris Weeks. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship here at Wake Tech. And today I am excited to be a part of ILC Summer Conference and Student Success. And we're going to give it a few more minutes and let a few more folks make their way in. If you have any questions in the interim as we're getting ready, if you look over on the right-hand side, there should be a chat box. If you click the chat on the left of the upper menu, then your chat box will open and you'll have an opportunity to type any questions that you may have in there. And that'll be the best method for us to do questions and answers as it pertains to the information that we're putting forth. So if you give us just a couple more minutes and we'll be ready to rock and roll momentarily.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 my dog is bigger than hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip. It's bigger than hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop.
One thing about music, when it hit, you feel no pain. White folks that controls your brain. I know better than that. That's game, man. We ready for that. 2 soldiers head of the pack. Matter of fact, who got the gat and where my army at? Rather attack and not react. Back to beat.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Chris Weeks. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship here at Wake Tech. Thank you all for joining us for the Entrepreneurial Mindset. And this is going to be the 50th anniversary of Hip Hop Edition. And I'll explain why as we get into it. But as I mentioned, my name is Chris Weeks, Director of Entrepreneurship here at Wake Tech. I'm in my second year of being the Director of Entrepreneurship here at Wake Tech. Prior to that, I spent 20 plus years in the music industry, working as a manager and running record labels for hip hop artists. So when I have an opportunity to talk about hip hop, I do so. And it just so happens that today, August 11th, 2023, is being commemorated as the 50th anniversary of the birth of hip hop. We're going to talk about that in a little while. But I think before we get started, I wanted to kind of take an opportunity to let you know a little bit about what to expect in the program. And please, if you will, make sure that you are muted on your computer to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to hear the presentation. So we'll go ahead and get started. And
Now let's get it all in perspective for all y'all enjoyment, a song y'all can step with.
All right, so between each slide, my goal, well, between most slides, it's going to be my goal to play a record. Again, because this is the hip hop edition of the Entrepreneurial Mindset. And because if you happen to work in the building with me and you happen to walk by my office, 99% of the time you pass by my office, I'll have music playing. It's just a part of how I rock. So I think it'll be fun. You'll see some correlation between the theme of each of the slides alongside the record that I'm playing. So please enjoy. Let's talk about the agenda. Made You Look, Nas from Godson, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with an introduction to Wake Tech Entrepreneurship and Small Business Center. We're located over on the West Campus in Cary on Kildare Farm. We're going to talk about the business of music. I'm going to do a quick commercial for that. From there, we want to know the history of entrepreneurship and specifically the history of entrepreneurship as it pertains to hip hop, which the cool thing about teaching the entrepreneurial mindset from any perspective is that it's relevant to whatever business you're in. And that's one of the cool things about the offerings that we have at the Entrepreneurship Center is the information that we give you is relevant to whatever it is that you're studying. If you want to be a plumber, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor, at some point, lots of folks have an opportunity or have the desire to work for themselves. I'm certain that's why most of you signed up for this particular session, because regardless what it is you're studying, at some point you'll make a decision that you would love to actually be your own boss. And so as we talk about that, we'll give you some background on the history of hip hop. Now, why? Why do you do what you do? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about risk versus reward. We'll talk about hustling hard. We'll talk about sweating the technique. Nobody beats the biz. These are lots of good songs. The entrepreneurial state of mind, if it ain't about the money, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Walk This Way, Run DMC, Aerosmith, 1986. Great record. Was an important record because it really became the catalyst for hip hop to break into the mainstream music, pop, and all of those cool things. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about Wake Tech Entrepreneurship. So we have Wake Tech Entrepreneurship and Small Business Center that I mentioned. We're over in Cary. And on the Wake Tech Entrepreneurship side, we do some pretty cool stuff. The first thing that I want to talk about is our flagship program called Launch Wake County. Launch Wake County is a program that provides cohort learning to all 12 municipalities here in Wake County. So alongside each of the municipalities, we run a 10-week course in each of the municipalities, which is a boot camp of sorts for both businesses that are just starting out, as well as folks that are getting ready or interested in business. The program runs once a year in each city or town, and it has up to 20 participants. To date, we've put greater than 800 small businesses through the Launch Wake County program, and they're starting up again this fall. The programming happens on a semester basis. Some municipalities work on the fall semester, and some municipalities work on the spring semester. You can go to launch whatever town you live in. Let's say you live in Knightdale. You can go to launchnightdale.org or launchRaleigh.org or whatever town. Do launch and then the name of the town and then put .org after, and you can get all the information that you need. So one good thing about Launch Wake County is upon successful completion, it unlocks a bunch of other opportunities here at Wake Tech for you to sustain and grow your business. The Main Street Accelerator is a program that we do. Again, it's like a boot camp, and it culminates in a pitch competition. This past May, we gave away $70,000 in grants to students and community members that took the course, took the accelerator, and then pitched the opportunity to get the money for their business. The Incubator Network is a series of incubators throughout Wake County that not only gives you an opportunity to continue to learn about your business, but it also gives you space to do so. So if you're an artist, or if you're an office person, or if you do food stuff, we're creating incubator spaces to where you can have an opportunity to practice your craft and actually conduct commerce. So stay tuned with that. We have a lot of cool stuff happening there. ESTP is Entrepreneurship for Skilled Trades and Professionals. We ran that course for the first time last fall, and that course is designed specifically for, regardless of what discipline that you work in or you're studying in, whether it's HVAC, construction, hairdressing, cosmetology, barbering, all the way again through the curriculum of doing pre-law, pre-med, anything. You are eligible to take that class. That class gets you ready, not only to be an entrepreneur based on whatever it is that you're studying, but it also gets you the right mindset when you're prepared to go to work. So most people go to work for someone else before they start their own business. And this ESTP course gives you a really good head start on thinking like your boss does and kind of accelerating your opportunity to really become your own boss. The business of music, we're going to talk about shortly. Again, I mentioned that I spent time in the music industry, and that's where my entrepreneurial endeavors happened. And this fall, for the very first time, we will be offering the business of music for entrepreneurs. We'll talk about that more. In addition to that, we have a mastermind course, which again is focused on mindset. And we partner with Pinnacle Financial Partners, and they provide a wonderful curriculum as well as a wonderful platform to learn more. Now, what's the cool thing about all the things offered by Wake Tech Entrepreneurship? It's all free. I said free, because it is free. So I think that's pretty cool. And again, you go to sbc.waketech.edu, and all of that information is located there. And again, if you have any questions throughout, you're able to put them in the meeting chat on the right-hand side of the board itself. Small Business Center at Wake Tech. So Small Business Center is a part of the Small Business Center network here in North Carolina. Each of the 58 community colleges here in North Carolina has a small business center. Now, when you get involved with the Small Business Center, you're entitled to one-on-one counseling. You get at least 100 business workshops, both presented locally and throughout the state. You get subject matter seminars. So you get to talk to lawyers, you get to talk to accountants, you get to talk to CPAs, insurance folks. We bring in marketing people. And this all gives you an opportunity to really learn more about things outside of what you are specifically doing in your specialty. We also have specialty programming. We do Black Business Momentum. We do Hispanic Business Momentum. We do a partnership with the Delta Sigma Theta organization, and we do a big event with them. In addition to that, you get resources and guidance. And with those resources, we have a wonderful library here that you have an opportunity to go into as a part of it. And then also one of the biggest questions that we get all the time is what additional resources and particularly grants and funding are available. And those one-on-one counselors can also help you with that. Another cool thing about the Small Business Center here at Wake Tech is, not to sound like I'm repeating myself, but it too is free. So we all like free. If you like free, let's take a moment to type free in the meeting chat. I just want to make sure you all are still with me. So if you like free, type free in the meeting chat. So shout out to getting free stuff. And that's what we do here at Wake Tech as it pertains to education. So thank you for sticking with me. So let's go ahead on to the next piece. And the next piece was a commercial, I think it said, right? So what was the commercial? Whoever's dancing, you can stop dancing. Or no, you don't have to stop dancing. But the reason I played that particular record, as I mentioned earlier, it was a collaboration between Run DMC and Aerosmith, and really it was one of the first records to really make it to the mainstream. And why it's relevant here is because this next course that we're offering, called The Business of Music for Entrepreneurs, is not exclusively for hip hop. It is actually for all folks that do any genre of music. It also kind of encompasses a lot of different types of jobs within music. So lots of times we talk about what types of work you can do in music, and the first thing that we think about is being an artist. Now, while being an artist is the cool part and the fun part, and it's the one that gets in front of the camera, there are also a ton of other jobs that go along with it. I started off as a rapper when I was in the Army, and I had a group with me that did the singing. And actually, they got discovered, and I didn't, because they didn't want me rapping on their record. So I became the business manager, and I continued to try and learn and develop the business acumen to make sure that they were making the right choices in their business. So the Business of Music for Entrepreneurs starts on Wednesday, September 6th. It is a evening class between 6 and 9. It meets in person at the Western Wake campus here in Cary. It's 10 weeks long, and it ends with a pitch competition. Now, the cool thing about the pitch competition is the pitch competition is going to happen in concert with Wake Tech Idol. I don't know how many of you have gone or participated in or seen Wake Tech Idol, but it is a lot of fun. I had an opportunity to judge last year, and it is amazing the amount of talent that we have here at this college. So it's a good time. It's going to be a great opportunity. Wake Tech Idol, we give away thousands of dollars in scholarship money to the artists. And then on the business side, we're going to give away $4,000 to the businesses for seed money for their music business endeavors. So again, that's on begins September 6th. We're registering now. If you're interested in registering for this course, simply send an email to entrepreneurship@waketech.edu. Lori, if you could put that in the chat for me so it could stick around, that would be great. Entrepreneurship@waketech.edu, and we'll get back with you to let you know exactly how what the process is to be involved in that class. Spaces are limited. We only have 20 slots for that, but it's going to be a good time. And again, it is free. And it also culminates with the opportunity to win, pick up some money. So what comes next? Without question, the three most famous words in hip hop music. I said a hip hop hippie. And for the young folks, your parents should have taught you that and how important those words are. For folks that are, older than 25, those three words were the beginning of the commercialization of hip hop. Now, hip hop has developed into a multi-billion-dollar industry. We know everything that happens from Dr. Dre selling Beats headphones to Apple for $1 billion to 50 Cent doing Smart Water. There's just been a ton of examples of hip hop artists and business people developing longstanding businesses both inside and outside of music that really exemplifies entrepreneurship. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, it's easy to talk about hip hop because it's always gone hand in hand. So let's talk a little bit about history. Well, I mentioned before that today commemorates the 50th anniversary of hip hop. August 11th, 1973, 16-year-old girl in the Bronx, New York, actually on 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, which is acknowledged as the birthplace of hip hop. A 16-year-old girl decided that she needed to throw a party to make money to buy school clothes. Sounds like a pretty good deal. So she employed her older brother, who at the time didn't have a DJ name, but eventually became known as DJ Kool Herc. She encouraged him to bring his stereo equipment downstairs from their apartment into the recreation room of their building and play some records. This is acknowledged as the birth of hip hop as we know it. So happy birthday, hip hop, 50 years ago today. And it all started with entrepreneurship. She charged 25 cents for women and 50 cents for men to get into the party. That's a pretty steep undertaking. I don't know if I would have been able to pay the 25 cents to get in at the time, but that's very cool, and I think it's a cool story. This is me and DJ Kool Herc back in 2014, I think. Definitely a pioneer and by far acknowledged as the father of hip hop music. So that's your history. And if you're interested, there's so much programming now with the 50th anniversary. Actually, there's a big event tomorrow in downtown Raleigh acknowledging or celebrating the 50 years of hip hop. You should definitely go check it out if you're in town.
Hit it. The government you have elected is inoperative. Come again. The government you have elected is inoperative. The government you have elected.
The day begins with a grin and a prayer to excuse my sins. I can walk anywhere I choose, cause everybody listens to the BDP crew. We're not here for glamour or fashion, but here's the question I'm asking. Why isn't young black kids taught black? They're only taught how to read, write, and act. It's like teaching a dog to be a cat. You don't teach white kids to be black. Why is that? Is it because...
Why is that? Great question, and an important question, particularly about entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship requires passion, and you need passion in order to do. Obviously, you should be passionate about everything that you do, but specifically in hip hop, or specifically in entrepreneurship, the things that you have to contend with, and with those things, risk and reward, and hustling, and no guaranteed paycheck, you have to really be able to determine what your purpose is. So, as Simon Sinek said, and if you're not familiar with Simon Sinek, Sinek is his last name. He wrote the book, It Starts With Why. It's a great read. It's an easy read. If you haven't read it yet, you should, because it really breaks down for you why you do what you do and making sure that you're living a purpose-filled life. So in entrepreneurship, when you wake up in the morning, you should know what your purpose is, whether it's for the common good or whether it's for money. You want to figure out what motivates you. Typically, when I start a class off and I talk specifically about the why, I start like this. When you wake up in the morning, whatever you do when you wake up in the morning, whether it's you stretch or you shake or get up, and if you're not certain as to why you've gotten up on that particular morning, then I would encourage you to get back in the bed and take a nap until you figure it out. Particularly with entrepreneurship, which requires a tremendous amount from you as the entrepreneur, it is important that you understand what the why is, and you use that why to motivate you to do everything that you need. Money seems to be a common reason. So if money is the reason, then say, all right, well, why do you need the money? All right, well, I need the money to take care of my family. All right, so your why can probably be your family. If your family's already taken care of, then what? Maybe it's the common good. What can I do to make the world a better place? What can I provide to the world to make it a better place? What can I identify as a need in the world to make it a better place? And that's what the why really stands for in entrepreneurship. It's KRS-One and Mr. Cheeks for any of you older school hip hop heads. This is at the Bimbe Festival this year, which was a lot of fun. It gave me an opportunity to come out of retirement briefly and produce the headline show there, which was pretty cool.
Don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. Let's trace the hits and check the file. Let's see who bit the dissect the style. I flip the script so they can't get filed. At least not now, it'll take a while.
All right. Rakim, Sweat the Technique, 1992. Awesome record. Really was an important part of infusing jazz into hip hop and regarded by many as one of the best rappers ever. So let's talk about sweating the technique. He says, don't sweat the technique. He's talking about don't sweat his technique. As an entrepreneur, you should definitely sweat the technique. So what does that mean? All right, so as an entrepreneur, in your business, and you hear people talk about it all the time, take time to work on your business, not in your business. And what that means is if you happen to be a pizza maker and you spend the entire time making pizza, then there are other areas of your business that may fall short. And we'll talk more about that then. But be understanding that you need to be the very best at what it is you do. If you're an attorney and you go out and you hang your shingle and you are working for yourself as an attorney, you need to make sure that you are the best possible attorney that you can be. It's an important part. Wanting to be the best or provide the best service or the best product is what is going to make people want to do business with you. Yeah, people do business with the people they like, they trust, and they know. That's kind of the old school thought process. But now you also have to really be the best, because especially nowadays in the modern age, if you don't put your best foot forward, the internet is undefeated. The moment you misstep in business, someone's going to Yelp you. Someone's going to Google review you. You're going to get, think about Uber drivers or entrepreneurs. If they give a bad experience within seconds of ending that ride, there's an opportunity for someone to give that feedback, immediate feedback, the dreaded 1 star. Does anyone know what 1 star means? It means not good. So we definitely don't want that. So you need to sweat your technique and really stand for excellence. And you're going to stand for excellence in the words of Medea, period. I was going to have a Medea contest of who could do the best Medea impression, but with the number of folks that have showed up, I don't think we have time. So be the best at what you can do and have a unique value proposition. A unique value proposition, actually, I need some crowd participation now. There's another hip hop record called OPP that came out a long time ago. It was a cool record, but I've kind of stolen their catchphrase, which is, "You down with OPP?" I've actually updated it to say, "Are you down with UVP?" And kind of corny, kind of cheesy, I apologize, but it is that important. UVP is your unique value proposition. I talked about being the best at what you do. Now, the other important part of the unique value proposition overall is that there has to be something that you do differently and better. So while someone makes orange juice, what makes your orange juice different? What makes your orange juice better? Is it fresher because you take it from the grove to the point of sale the quickest? Is it better because you use the best oranges? Anything that's gonna identify you as different and better, you really want to hone in on that and have it be a part of your technique. So sweat the technique, be the best, and be different and better. If you're with me, type UVP in the meeting chat. We're going to see how many people I've put to sleep so far. I keep playing music to keep y'all up. All right, so some of y'all are still awake. Great. So that's cool. Thank you for staying with me. All right, so now lots of times, what we don't realize lots of times, we have a tendency to just really take things for what they're worth. We ride by McDonald's, and we know that regardless where we go now on Earth, there's a McDonald's there, or there's a Starbucks there, or there's a, you name it, they're there. One thing that we keep forgetting, or we don't take into consideration, or we don't really think about, is the fact that all of these small businesses started as what? All of these large major corporations or publicly held corporations started as what? They started as ideas, great, Crystal, and they went from an idea to a small business, and then they did what? They grew. Well, it's another way of growing, another way to identify growing. We call it scaling. So in scaling, it's taking your process and what you do, your UVP, and you being the very best, and all of the good things that you do in making yourself and your business sustainable, and duplicating it. So you see, oh, your favorite pizza place is good in Raleigh, and then lo and behold, boom, it opens up in Cary. That's scaling. Now, what's your expectation? Your expectation is when you happen to be in Cary and your favorite pizza place is nearby, then you pop in there, you expect it to be just as good in Raleigh as it is, or just as good in Cary as it is in Raleigh. So how does that work? Well, you as the technician and being the very best that you are as the pizza maker, I don't know, I'm from New York, so we have really good pizza. So I guess that's why I always use this example, because when you find good pizza, it's important. As the technician, number one, if it's your pizza business, you need to be the best pizza maker in the building. And the moment that you're not the best pizza maker in the building, that's a good thing too, because that means that you've taught others under your roof and in your business to do stuff as well as you do. So what does that mean? That means when you go into Cary into the pizza shop that you're accustomed to going into Raleigh, that the pizza tastes exactly the same or better. So whenever you're scaling, regardless what it is you're doing, whether it's being a plumber or whether it's a delivery driver, you want the other delivery drivers to be better drivers than you. You want them to be safer than you. You want them to be more efficient than you. These are all things that you do by leading by example as a technician, and then teaching to make sure that they can do it just as well. And that's the way that you grow your business from some little hamburger joint somewhere to a multinational corporation. Does that make sense? I think it does.
Yes, y'all until.
All right, R.I.P. Biz Markie, definitely an awesome purveyor of great hip hop. So nobody beats the biz. One of the other pillars of entrepreneurship, the three basic pillars are what we just talked about, the technician and having the appropriate technique and being the best at what you do, have the unique value proposition. The other part that you need, particularly when you are growing your business, is the opportunity, the business acumen. As I mentioned earlier, I worked with my first group and they were great singers, and I made it my business to become, I went to school. We were in the Army, I got out, I went to community college and started taking business courses and entrepreneurship courses and learning the business part of the business. And that's where, as an entrepreneur in your business, you need to really focus on learning pieces to help your business sustain and grow. A good example is learning how to do QuickBooks or using Excel, and learning how to do spreadsheets, and learning inventory, learning how to do payroll once you hire people, and all of those cool things. Learning soft skills like how to talk to customers, great customer service, how to do marketing, all of those things that you can take courses right here at Wake Tech to learn how to do. There is that component of it, the business component, that is required for a sustainable business. Now, if there's stuff that you can't do, if you don't have the business acumen, or you make a great pizza, but you have to take your shoes off to count to 20, maybe not that bad. But if you need help with your books, then that's when you take the opportunity to hire folks or hire people to do the stuff that you cannot do. Sometimes I watch People's Court. That's one of my guilty pleasures. And I go in and I watch people represent themselves on People's Court, and it's atrocious. I couldn't imagine them being in a real court attempting to represent themselves. So as a small business, you don't want to show up in court to represent yourself. You need to hire a lawyer. So respect the components of what you're able to do and what you're not able to do, and hire people to do the stuff that you can do. Now, when you do learn things, and when you are a lifelong learner and you do tap into the ecosystem to learn, like I mentioned with our Small Business Center, we have tons of classes that we give, from accounting to you name it, marketing. Once you learn that stuff, and I'm speaking mostly to the financial part, once you identify the skill and the will and learn both, you need to really put both of them into play. When you learn how to do the books for your business, and you can actually do the physical or the technical part of it, you also need to have the mindset or the will to do what needs to be done. So make sure that you're buying inventory before you're buying a new car. Make sure that you're paying taxes on time. Yeah, you know you need to pay the taxes that comes with making the money, and you know that you know how to write the check, you know how to identify, do the equation, and ensure that your tax bills are accurate. But it also takes the will and the wherewithal and the integrity to do what you need to do, which is actually cut that check or send that money in to pay those taxes. So identify the skill and the will, and learn both and apply them. And again, that goes back to operating from a place of excellence, period, again. And I still don't say it as hard as I want to, but I'm gonna continue to work on that. Everyone with me? I don't know what I should have you type in. Who has something creative to type in to go along with "Nobody Beats the Biz"? Period. Yep. Period. Thank you, Gianna. There you go. So I decided to bring a record. It's still not a new record, but I decided to bring a record from at least this millennium, maybe. So for the younger folks, this is one of my favorite, relatively newer records. So here's something from this century.
We got London on the track.
Whoa.
On the track.
Yeah, man, tap in to the max with it. Rex.
I count 6 shots.
Gussin' at the bando. Jury real metal like a candle. I went from rad to riches to a feature with tip. I went from smart car to a with some smart lips. And that epiphany made my hip limp. I'm going fishing with these little bitty strip dips. And my bankroll kind of big dip. Woo. She gon' bring it on a big ship.
So shout out to Young Thug. I guess he's not with us right now. He's away for whatever reason. The funny thing about Young Thug, I've always liked his music. And but this morning, as I was putting the music to the presentation, I was on Spotify kind of queuing up the playlist, and now they give you an opportunity to look at the lyrics. And I read along the lyrics, the verse that I was just playing, and it really was a great verse. Up until now, I had no clue what Young Thug was talking about just the way that he presents it. But it was a really good verse. Anyway, that song is about the money with T.I. and Young Thug. This part is if it ain't about the money. And if it ain't about the money, then it's about the common good. And what I've learned over the years is if you focus on the other things that we've talked about, which is being the best, a unique value proposition, using integrity, doing things the right way, not cutting corners, being a lifelong learner, it doesn't have to be about the money, because whatever you're doing, as long as you get up and put forth that effort every morning and you're passionate about it and you have the unique value proposition and you have the right product, the money is going to come. When you stop focusing on the money, it's going to come. Now, when the money comes, there is something else that you need to contend with, and that's understanding two components that I think are super important. One of them is personal budget intelligence. I made that up, and I call it PBI. The dean, my boss, picks on me all the time because I'm always making up acronyms. But PBI, personal budget intelligence, is another name for financial literacy. Quite often when the phone rings here at Wake Tech Entrepreneurship and Small Business Center, the first question that we get, and I'm sure one of the questions that you all have, is, how do I get grants? Or how do I get funding? Or how do I get a small business loan? And they're out there. The grants, the business loans, all of those things are available. They're not what you see on TikTok, where if you do this and you go and you do this and you open up a line of credit, all of that isn't how it works. How it works is you generate revenue in your business, and based on your personal credit, based on your debt to income ratio, first based on your income, which is the income that you're generating from your business and any other work that you're doing. Again, if it's a side hustle that you're starting your business with, then your full-time job. Those are the things that are going to allow for you to borrow money and grow your business. So those pieces are important. Now, what comes with that? A few things. One is collateral, or how much money you have to put in. So what skin do you have in the game? The collateral, what money do you have to put up, or what assets do you have to put up to secure that loan? And your income, your debt to income ratio. How much money do you have overall? And then most importantly is your credit. You'll watch TikTok and they'll say, oh, I can get you a $30,000 small business loan with an EIN. You don't need credit. Now, you need credit. There aren't any magic pills out there where someone's going to give you $30,000 and not have you be actually accountable for it. So while it sounds great on TikTok, in real life, you have to have your stuff together. And here's why it's important, because if you have your stuff together while you're starting your business, or as you're starting your business, or before you're starting your business, and your business becomes wildly successful, then you have the personal budget intelligence or the financial literacy needed to keep your money. We hear about rich people all the time. We hear about MC Hammer. We hear about famous football players, and you name it, about people who made a boatload of money, and then when you look up and they're broke. Well, a lot of it has to do with not having an understanding of money and how it works and how it should be treated. So please understand that your personal budget intelligence or financial literacy is an important part of it. Now, capitalization capacity is, are you truly prepared to get money? That's what capitalization capacity is. And that is having all those ducks in a row that we were talking about. And it is being committed to using the money that you receive to grow your business. A quick story, my very first big check in the music industry was for a Kellogg commercial. I put a rap song in a Kellogg Special K commercial, and I got a big check, and they mailed it to my house. It came in FedEx, and I literally took the FedEx envelope and brought it to my bank and opened it up and put it on the counter and asked to cash it. And the teller looked at me like I had lost my mind. Like, why on earth do you want to cash this? And quite clearly, I said, because I'm about to go buy this Porsche. And she laughed and she told me that she couldn't do it and that I had to wait 7 days. And so I waited 7 days and went and bought the Porsche. Guess what? The Porsche wasn't a great investment to grow my business. Now, yes, I worked in the rap industry, which having a nice car played a good part of the persona that you're attempting to create. But it wasn't a real investment to where there's a genuine return on investment for the work that you're doing. So remember, capitalization capacity is an important part, and really what that's about is your ability to get the money and then use it properly once you do. And I wish I had taken this course and a lot of the other courses that are available here at Wake Tech probably 7 or 8 years before I really started flourishing in the music industry. It would have made for a different outcome in getting to that financial literacy piece and the budget intelligence and capitalization capacity piece. So again, stand for excellence, period. And we did that one. So what's next?
Uncle Ricky, would you read us a bedtime story, please, please?
All right, you kids get to bed. I get to.
All right, so now this is an opportunity. I thank you for listening to my presentation about entrepreneurship and doing so from an entrepreneur or from a hip hop perspective. I think that now is an opportunity, and I think that we have some time left to actually field some questions. So at this point, if you have any questions, feel free. You can unmute yourself and ask the questions. And I've purposely left right around 10 minutes of time for us to do a Q&A. If you don't have questions now, that's fine. I can be reached. I have an open door policy, cweeks2@waketech.edu. Any questions that you have about your business or your proposed business, feel free to shoot me an email, and we'll definitely, we can definitely wrap. You see, let's wrap. That was a play on words. Any questions?
So there's a question, Chris. What is your advice for being the best and making the best choices when investing? Also, a personal question for you. Who are some people you have worked with, and did you know LL Cool J?
Yeah. I spent quite a few years in the New York market. Yes, I did. I do know LL Cool J. I've had an opportunity to work with LL. My biggest clients were probably Robin Thicke and DMX, were probably the two largest people. The biggest record label I ever worked for, I worked for Jay-Z's record label, Rockefeller, back in the early 2000s. And advice for being the best and doing the best is really about honing your craft, especially now as you're in school and you're learning whatever it is that you're learning. Pay attention now. Take in everything that you can take in now to be the best or to learn the most to have that competitive advantage. If you're doing auto repair, then spend the time. Do what you need to do to really be the best at it. I was reading an article about Kobe Bryant. And as you know, he won championships a lot. And it didn't matter whether they won a game or they lost a game. At the end of the game, Kobe Bryant would go into the locker room and wait for the arena to clear out. And then he'd put on some sweats And then he'd go back out onto the court and he'd shoot for another hour. And although you would look at him as being one of the greatest ever and almost a perfect basketball player, he continued to practice. Rick Ross and Drake made a record, and he said, "You weren't with me when I was shooting in the gym," was a reference to just that. That hard work that you put in is something that no one can take away from you. So put in that hard work, continue to refine your process, practice your process, and memorize your mission, whatever it is that you're going to do and you know that you're going to do, memorize that part of it, and then practice your process, because that's going to change. Over time, you're going to tweak and adjust and pivot and do all those things, but you really, really want to practice. So hopefully that answers that question. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, there is, Chris. What are some good business ideas in terms of businesses for tourism?
That's a good question. I don't know. I like to travel. I ride a Harley Davidson, and I like doing Harley Davidson road trips. It would be cool if there was some sort of collective motorcycle tourism, either online space or something with a really clear connection on what motorcycle people could do when they travel, either with each other or alone. So I would like to see something like that. Any other questions?
So there's another question. Gianna says, "Cool, thank you. I value and appreciate your wisdom. Did you meet Kanye, and when were you working at Rockefeller Center?"
So I worked at Rockefeller Records in the early 2000s, and Kanye was one of my projects early on. I was just in Charlotte this past weekend with some music friends, and I ran into a producer. When I worked at Rockefeller, I used to throw parties at my house in Durham. And he was laughing because the security wouldn't let Kanye into my house in Durham. And it was a funny moment because he says that now he still tells that story that Kanye came to a house party in Durham and wasn't allowed in 2003, and people still don't believe him. So yes, I do know Kanye. Well, I did know Kanye. I don't care to really know him too much anymore, but that's neither here nor there. But yes, so that is fun. Thank you for asking. So I want to play. Are there any more questions? I have a couple more records I want to play.
I don't see any more, just a lot of thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the fun interaction. Really learned a lot. And Gianna says that is hilarious.
All right, so what's this one?
Uncle Ricky, would you read us a bedtime story, please, hon, please?
So last but not least, this is my favorite slide and my favorite picture of all the years that I spent in the music industry. There was only one. I felt, when I met Beyonce, I felt a little bit weird, but the first time that I felt really weird meeting someone famous was when I met Slick Rick. You can almost see it in my eyes that I'm kind of like all the way fanned out. Slick Rick was my favorite rapper as a teen. And then it took me quite some time to actually get to meet him. And when I did, it was a blast. So if you get a chance to go back and listen to The Great Adventures of Slick Rick from 1988, it's definitely an amazing album. And it was an inspiration to me and my entrepreneurial endeavors. So I thank everyone for coming. And what happened to peace is actually a pretty important part of hip hop, because it, last but not least, recognized the end of one of the best songs ever in hip hop.
Chris, I have
Yo,
a
Rakim, what's up?
question.
Yo, I'm doing the knowledge. Peace.
I'm sorry?
I have a question.
Sure.
I had asked about the tourism-oriented businesses.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the ideas. Also pertaining to travel, will a Zimbabwe-oriented travel business be a good idea?
I think that right now you're seeing an uptick, obviously coming out of the pandemic, in travel related businesses. I think that the travel industry has done a good job rebounding. As far as is travel a good idea, a lot of it has to do with what your unique value proposition and what your actual product or service is. But as far as the health of that particular industry right now, there is a strong rebound, and that's in travel. You look at airlines, you look at trains, like Amtrak has seen a 230% increase in travel in the Southeast over the past 12 months. So people are traveling.
Okay, thank you so much. Much appreciated.
You're quite welcome, and thank you all for coming. And I appreciate y'all playing along with me and listening to my music and having